GymCraic podcast. I am your host, Adrian Allen, and very welcome back to a special episode. Well, it's not so special. It's a solo episode. I haven't done a solo episode for a while. It's been I suppose a couple of months now since I did really a solo one. Trying to do a lot more interviews and stuff, but today we're going to go solo, and it's basically about the 10 lessons I have learned from recording podcasts. I recently reached 50 episodes, and it's taken me over 3 years to get to those 50 episodes, but I'm still here. And it's something that I'm very passionate about and trying to keep going because it keeps me in the health and fitness industry. It keeps me being creative. Creative is the one word that keeps jumping out of me when I do these podcasts. And it's like an outlet to be creative, to sit down, to study people, to talk about what it is I have done, what I have learned, what I have messed up, what it is I want to do, and it's a great way to keep me accountable with things as well. Like when I was doing my Ironman last year, to be able to talk about it each week and to show up and to how I've developed the podcast. When I say developed, I presume when I say develop, I mean like where how it started to where it's gone now. The production side of it, I suppose. Like, I record everything now on camera. I record it on audio. I post the videos on YouTube, and it helps. It definitely helps with the advertising side of it. And like, I kind of learn from every episode that I do. That's the God's honest truth. Like, it kills me to go back sometimes and listen to some of the episodes I've done. But that's something that I will get into because it's the lessons learned are the key takeaways from a lot of this. And it's never perfect, people. Trust me. Even like to sit down this morning right now and to record a podcast, I actually get anxiety thinking about it. And it's not until you do press start and record that you actually get into it. But before I get too far into that and run out of stuff to say, what's been happening? Jesus. Where am I at in life? I rub my forehead when I think about things like that. I'm always very hard on myself. But look, I obviously, since I've got back from Ireland, it's probably, I think it's 6 or 8 weeks now since I've got back. And like I've been back to work. Obviously, if you're just new to listening, I work on a mine site. Started working back on a mine site in December. Then I had to go home for 3 months due to my mother being sick. My mother is still with us. She's still fighting. She's still kicking along. She's doing good. She's very positive. In palliative care, still back in palliative care at the moment. Where's my head at? That's a big thing. God's honest truth. Like I've always been open and honest with you. It's been very difficult since I got back because like I now work on a mine site and I'm literally away for 8 days and then I get six days off. And sometimes I suppose like I'll say it is like the emotional side of it on some days is crazy. Like, I've burst into tears on days just thinking about it and thinking about like wanting to be at home. And it does lead me down the fact that I probably will book another flight home pretty soon to go home. My birthday's in July. My mom's birthday's in July. But since I've got back into the swing of work, it's been, it was basically I was going back to actually get into the swing of it because I only did 2 weeks before and then I took off back to Ireland. So now it's a case of like getting into the routine. It's been good. Definitely like the positive side of it is that like I don't fear going away. Like I know what to expect now. I know what the job entails. I'm getting better at doing work on the computer. I know the site better. Like the site is huge. Like, and I know the people better and I know what I can and what I can't do. And like, I've definitely learned a lot of things. Even the last couple of weeks being back again about like the safety aspects and just like doing things right. Don't be rushing, do everything by the book. Now that I know how to do things better, tell you the truth. And yeah, with my training and stuff like that, I did a 10K race 2 weeks ago. Mainly my training since the Ironman last year. Like I haven't been swimming. Like I have not swam since. It's now 6 months. I could be hard on myself, but I'm not going to be hard on myself with that because I've had a lot going on. The bike, I haven't really been cycling much because obviously I was in Ireland for 3 months and then I came back and I literally set the bike up on the trainer this morning. If you don't know, it is now winter in Australia, so they say. It's a bit of rain. When I'm in Perth, it rains. I work 2 hours away from Perth, like 2 hour flight away. It doesn't rain where we are up there. But yeah, I went to sign up for a 70.3 this week and it was full for December. Um, but yeah, just sticking with stuff that's short and sweet. Like I do gym sessions. I go to the gym maybe 4 to 5 times an average a week. And then I was training. I'm running probably 2 to 3 times, three at most, two kind of on average. And I did a 10K race last week. Tried to go sub 40-minute 10K. I was outside it by about 30 seconds. So basically 3 seconds per kilometer. It is a tough thing to do, but I got the results that I deserved. And it was a PB, definitely, but I knew I would be somewhere in between the 40 to 41 minutes because I was like, I have not been doing enough of running and I haven't been doing enough intensity, like interval stuff. Like the 10 kilometers isn't a problem. It's the running at an intensity of 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 59 seconds per kilometer is the issue. So I definitely knew that, like, once I did that race and I was just outside, I was like, you've got to learn to fight more. And, I got the result that I deserve from my training. There's no shortcuts when it comes to trying to achieve certain goals. And if you haven't been putting in the work, and I know when I haven't been putting in the work, but look, for what I was doing with the changes that are occurring at the moment, working away more and then coming back and trying to, you think you get 6 days off and people are like we are at work for 13 hours a day. From 5:30 in the morning, I leave and I don't get back to camp until 6:30. So any runs I do at work are done at 4 a.m. in the morning or they're being done at 7 p.m. at night. And you're trying to fit it in, and I won't make excuses, but if you want something bad enough, you'll get it done. And definitely with the running. And then when I come back, people say, "Oh yeah, you have 6 days off," but I'm trying to. I was working at Fitstop. I'm still coaching, and you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning again. So I kind of have to think to myself, like, sleep is so important now. I'm actually really struggling with my sleep. I won't lie to you people. It's becoming a massive issue, but that's due to the stress of life, things that are going on. Like, I actually went to see a naturopath recently, and she gave me a concoction of stuff to help me sleep better because I was literally waking at 1 o'clock in the morning, or 2 o'clock, and I was staying awake. So last night I got my concoction on the first sample of whatever it is that was in this, and I have a list of stuff, but I didn't know what half it was, or I didn't know what any of it was. I did get a full 8 hour sleep last night, but I had to be up at 5 o'clock or quarter to 5 this morning because I was going running with a run group. But for the next 3 days, I'm going to see what I can pull out of this stuff that she has put together for me. And then there was magnesium powder as well, which, everyone tells us that magnesium is probably something we should all have before bed. But yeah, the sleeping issue, it kind of came to a fore there the last couple of weeks, and I knew I had to do something. And then even the last 3 days, it was hectic. I was up at 1 o'clock every morning, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and I was awake, and then I had to go to work the next morning. So that it was just a major issue that I need to resolve. So that's kind of like where I've been at the last couple of weeks. Back to Perth, back to work. Haven't seen too many people. Really missed the community aspect of kind of things. Yeah, with coaching, but I don't have any true friends at Fitstop anymore. They're kind of like they're they're all gone really. You know what I mean? So I go in there and I don't really know many people. I still love the crack, like, you know what I mean? But it's like I kind of think, oh, I'd better off going off running with people or doing something different and not having to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So we'll see what comes of that anyway for now. But let's talk about what I've learned from doing 50 podcasts. And it's definitely been like, I love doing it. I love this, but it's like so draining, and like I get so nervous and I get so caught up on what it is that I'm going to say or what I'm going to do, and then when I produce it, if it's good enough and all that. But I think you get that with everything you do. That anything that scares you, like the reason I don't show up every week, because I don't show up every week, because if I try to show up every week, it just puts too much pressure on me, and I've found that out over the years where like when I try to do too much too soon, it just gets too much for me. And that's something that you have to wonder. Like, you look at other people's podcasts, you can look at Joe Rogan's, you can look at Diver CEO, and they're pumping out podcasts. But you must remember that they all have people pumping it out with them. I'm sitting here by myself. I've never had any help whatsoever. Like, the only time I've ever got help is when I messed up an audio for a podcast and I had to send it to Fiverr. Like, Fiverr is a website that you can get people to do stuff for you, and they fixed the audio. But other than that, when I record stuff, all the planning, all the preparation, all the graphic stuff I do, anything that I try and put up on Facebook or Instagram now with videos is all my work. And like, it gets hectic, people. Like, it takes me probably, I definitely do on average 4 hours of research at least. And then there's another 2 or 3 hours of messing around, looking at more stuff, and then you record it. The recording only takes an hour, but then you have to put the graphics together, you've put the description together, then you have to gotta put it on Spotify podcasts. And honestly, I'd say if you put it all together, it's definitely a 12-hour job to do it all to get one episode out. So, when you put 50 episodes together, you're thinking to yourself, it's over 50, it's at 55 now and early or something. That's probably, that's a lot of work put in to try and get to those episodes, because I don't just make shit up and put it up. There is some form of research being done. When I say research, there's some form of checks being done so that I get this out. So let's start off at number one. Number one, before every episode I record, I doubt myself 100%. Like, I wonder if I'm interesting enough. I'll ask, am I asking the right questions, or if anyone will even care what's being said? Now, there's a couple of things that lie in this instance. It's like, there's the inner critic. It's like the voice in your head. Like, why are you hosting a podcast? I try to block that out completely. I'm like, I do it because I love it. And the people that want to listen to the podcast will listen. There's the fear of imperfection. You're worrying about the conversation, if it will flow. Like, it's a lot easier actually do conversation. It's a lot easier interview someone than it is to kind of sit down and do solo podcasts. They're so much easier. Trust me. You just got to have a couple of questions. When I say a couple, I have quite a few. You have about 10, but they do half the talking. Like, I'm here now and I'm thinking, okay, how do I keep the audio going for however long, maybe an hour? And you begin to wonder, like, how am I going to keep that interesting? Whereas when you talk to someone, you interview them, there's definitely it's a lot easier. There's the pressure to perform. You're wanting every episode to somehow, top the last one, or how's it going to be better than rather, like, everything is ups and downs in life. So you might have a good podcast, you might have a shit one. And there's definitely more shit ones, and I'll definitely get into those. But, and then you have the fear, like, if you are going to be wasting someone's time, there's nothing worse. Like, I've turned off podcasts before, but very rarely. I'm not messing. You nearly stick it out, like. And I know I can talk for quite a long time, people, and I can ramble on. But you do wonder that if you aren't giving enough value, or what you care about, if anyone else will actually give a shit. So you don't want to be wasting anyone's time. That does sit with me a lot as well. It's like, how do I make sure that what people are getting from me is valuable? So number two, pressing record is always the hardest part of the podcast hosting, because it's the moment you leave all the planning behind, everything that you have planned for, and then you stepping into the unknown, basically. It's this reason that you almost, like, you just got to press start. Like, I got up here this morning. I was like, I've been out for a run this morning. I was like, this podcast has been in my notes for at least 8 weeks. So there's been 8 weeks where I've said to myself, I'm going to do it, and I haven't done it. But when I press record, things start to flow, basically, and you can just start to talk, and you start to think about what it is you're going to say, and you just got to get going. And this was definitely something that I remember when Shane Walsh said before, like, you've just got to start. A year from now, you'll be glad you started. And I know another year from now, I'll be glad that I continued to grow the podcast, because you only ever fail when you give up something, when you give up and throw in the towel. But there's so many lessons learned from recording and from podcasting and from putting it out there, that, you try not to push the boat out too far. You're just edging on the side of, okay, I'm just stepping outside my comfort zone slightly. this, well, technically speaking, this is further outside my comfort zone than I'd like to be, but it I've been here before. I've been here 55 times. So, I have had to have learned something from all those podcasts. So, as the fear becomes real, when you hit the record button, like everything that's in your head, it just vanishes and you just try and get started. You try and slow things down, you try and pause. Pausing gives you time to think. And that was something that I've really learned about over the last year, definitely. That pausing gives you time to think. And if I pause for 5 seconds, no one would ever doubt that like I was trying to think about what I was doing. But when you hear a pause, it's a good time to think so that the person you are talking to or what it is I want to say gets it comes out clearly and you're not jumping across yourself like all these kind of filter words in the middle that you don't really need to say, but when you don't give yourself time to think, that's what comes out of your mouth in the first place. So another part of that is performance pressure. It's like suddenly you feel like you have to deliver value, energy and flow all in once, and that is hard. Like energy is a big thing with me. Like obviously value is there. You always want to deliver value, but I also want to feel like that you people are getting the best from me. And I think why I didn't continue doing the podcast as much as I was like to was because my energy levels would have been so low that when I come on the microphone, I would be like, no, I'm just too miserable. Why would anyone want to listen to me feeling miserable inside? But I know it's like when I coach, like I'm two different people. I go in and I coach and my energy is bloody through the roof and I'll put on a show. But outside of that, I'm like, hi, how's it going? How's your day? Relaxed. And obviously, you don't want to be dealing with me on high energy vibes all the time, but definitely when you come on to a podcast, you do want to feel like that the person that's doing the interviews, the person you're listening to has a bit of energy about them, has a bit of drive, has a bit of go. And that's why I feel like that when I do come on now, I know like planning has a massive part to play in that. When you're prepared, then you know what's coming, kind of, you know what to talk about. But like, I have a million and one things written down here, and I won't get through half it. That's the God's honest truth. So, over preparing is definitely something that you can do, but just pressing record will always be the hardest part of any podcast. Same when you want to do a run. The hardest part is putting on your shoes and taking the first couple of steps out the door. The hardest part about swimming is getting to the swimming pool. There's been times when like the hardest part of anything, you just like, if I tell you where you're going to go to the gym and you've never done it or you haven't been to the gym for months, drive to the gym and don't even go into it and then come back. And then the next day go drive to the gym and go into it. That's kind of like pressing start. You just got to press start. There's never the right moment. You just got to do it. So number 3, most of my 50 episodes are below average. Let's be honest, people. Most of the 50, okay, and that's okay because the goal was never to be perfect, and it was just to keep showing up, learning, and getting better one conversation at a time. This comes down to definitely reps over results. You're never going to do your best work. When you train, you're not training at your best every day, but it's the accumulative effort over time that makes you who you are, and you can't shortcut experience. And every average episode that I have done is definitely a necessary step towards better ones. And I've had good ones. Trust me. Like, I've had great episodes. Some episodes I thought were great were shit, but I do listen back to them and I have learned a lot from them. But definitely most of the 50 are average. But if there wasn't the average ones, then there wouldn't be good ones. But if I had 5 amazing episodes and that's all I ever had, like, you'd never learn from your mistakes. So you have to have shit days and you have to have shit episodes. And there's been times when I was going to pull down episodes. Trust me. Very recently. Okay, let's give you an example. A great episode. I always think of Danny O'Sullivan. Now, Danny's is great for unfortunate reasons, but it's the way Danny speaks. And Danny was amazing because Danny was so open and honest and it was real. And there was questions there that like I was like, damn, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to ask these. But Danny made that episode brilliant. But then I think about episodes where I've interviewed people and the sound has been shit. Just recently, I interviewed the 3 Ds, And because we only have two microphones and I'm handing the microphone around the room, then the sound quality on some parts of it is shit. And I was like, will I take it down? But you just let it go. Like, you just have to let it go and learn from it. So, like, what I learned from that was like that, okay, maybe you're going to have four microphones. I educate people on holding the microphone better now because you've got to talk into the microphone. That's what a microphone is for. But a lot of people forget that they're holding a microphone. Whereas now, like when I talk into my microphone, the microphone is touching my chin, and that's how you're meant to talk into it. Or else the sound quality, if I hold the microphone away right now from my chin, I'm talking, but it's like a foot to the right, then the sound doesn't come out. Whereas now I'm bringing it back into my chin. So it's like educating people on how to listen or how to talk into a microphone, because it's not as if like if I get a guest that they know how to talk into it. Like, they assume the microphone will just pick up the volume. But you have to listen back and you have to be like, okay, some days I do, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, you'll hear that a lot from me. And it's something that I've had to get better at only by going back, listening to it, and sitting in my car going, "Oh my God, I sound terrible." But I write notes down. I say, "Okay, this is how you make it better." And progress is always progress. You can hear, like, literally when I track, if you're tracking growth across any episodes, the voice and the tone of questions and the flow of confidence, it gets better. But that's only by pressing record and making mistakes and keeping it moving. And another thing is, like, 50 average episodes build momentum and impact. Then, like I said, then the 5 ones that would be absolutely fantastic. And it is about building confidence. People want to hear episodes they want to hear them every couple of weeks. Like, no one wants to wait 6 months for me to do another episode. You have to be on the ball and you have to keep things moving. Number 4, the podcast is a personal journey, and I need to remember that I'm the boss here. I set the rules. I can do it my way, at my pace and my voice. I was always so caught up with having to do one a week because that's what everyone else was doing. And trust me, it does not work for me. Like, one every 3 weeks, probably. Like, time flies, people. It goes so fast. So don't be putting pressure on yourself to do things. Like, you might think, oh, my friend goes to the gym 5 days a week. It doesn't matter. It's what you can do. It's what reps are you going to put in? What time do you have? How is it you're going to do it? Because consistency will always trump intensity. Trust me on that, okay? Small bursts like, if it's you want to take up walking, you want to get better at walking, you walk for 10 minutes today, you walk for 10 minutes tomorrow, you take a break, you do 10 minutes on Thursday, you take a break Friday, you do 10 minutes on Saturday. You've done 40 or 50 minutes of walking. Whereas when you try to tell yourself, I'm going to do 1 hour walking every day for the next, 5 days, like, you might do it for 5 days, but you won't be doing it again anymore. I find that with my mobility. I tried to mobility train. Oh my God. I was trying to do a half an hour each day, and for a month I would do it, and next thing it would all drop off. And then you try and drop it down to 15 minutes. Like, you're better off doing small little bursts of intensity than, big bad bursts that, like, are going to set you up for failure. But the creative freedom, when I say that this podcast is my podcast, it's like, I can say what I want, I could do what I want. The creative side of it is you don't have to copy anyone else's format. There has been times when I've written down what styles of podcasts I like and how it's done, but that's just you learning the background of how it is to actually put the podcast together. No one's ever going to judge it as hard as you are. You know what I mean? Like, most listeners just want to hear authenticity. They're not looking for perfection. They just want you to be real and open and honest. And I think, like, that's something that I was afraid to do before. But now I'll speak openly and honest. And any question that I get from anyone in general, I'll be open and honest about it. Seasons of change are normal. So, like, last year was all about doing an Ironman, training for an Ironman. And this year, like, I've done two run events in the last 6 months. I've done an 8K run for FIA charity event when I was at home, and I've done the 10K event that was a couple of weeks ago. Whereas the year before, I'd done multiple bigger, longer events, half marathons, Ironman, like, all this kind of stuff was going on. And you were flat out, like, I was flat out. And, this year there's been nothing, but, life changes and there's going to be different lessons from every chapter of life. And it's understanding that and realizing that I can still keep the podcast going, but there might not be the same intensity, or like people might not be interested in the things that I have got going on right now, or the things that I am interested in, but other people might. But this is just the growth of humans. Really, our human nature is like we evolve and we move on and we learn, and there's going to be ups, there's downs, and everything else in between. With consistency in being yourself matters more than consistency in being perfect. So I do be myself. I own my mistakes. I own my fuck ups, and I do want to make it better. So number 5, consistency beats intensity. I kind of touched on already in podcast hosting, because showing up regularly builds trust. It's a skill. It's momentum. And, there is obviously the side of it that there can be frustration, there can be burnout, or giving up before real growth happens. This is something that I feel like I never want anything from the podcast. I just want to show up and have this as part of my arsenal, that it's something that I do as part of, as well as as training, as getting to know people. And it's just something that I love doing. So, there's a few layers to that. Is like audience trust. People start to rely on you. People will get value from things. People will resonate with some things. And, it builds loyalty over time. The other side of it is the compound impact. Small episodes consistently released over months or years reach way further than any perfect episodes drop. So that's the part of consistency. It goes with anything that we do in life. No matter how we do it, we just want to do small things consistently well. And some of the podcasts I do, I try to make shorter, but they always turn out to be way too long. And some people want shorter podcasts, some people want longer ones, but you just want to keep delivering value however you can and make it interesting to show people that real people exist, and people that are doing amazing things are just like you or me or anyone else that's listening. Okay. So number 6, that's just touching it there. It's average people stories and achievements interest me more, because they're real, they're relatable, and often reveal the resilient effort and heart that some people have. With this, like, people say, oh, you should interview this person, you should interview that person. I was like, I don't even know them. I said, yeah, they sound cool, amazing, but like, I know amazing people doing incredible things. I know average people doing amazing things. I know people that, just like you or me, that would be sitting at home, whatever age you are, sitting listening to this, or walking listening to this, or driving in your car listening to this. You are just like me. I listened to so many episodes before. I had achieved nothing in my health and fitness career. I had the fear and self-doubt that everyone has with things that they want to do, or they don't know where to start, or they're like, I want to do this. There are so many times I wanted to do things, people, and I'd sign up for the event and I wouldn't even train to do it. But the more you think about it and the more you say to yourself, I want to do this, it's in you to do it. But how am I going to get it out of you? By showing you that average people that I know, just like me or you, have done these incredible things. And they're the stories that I want to share with you, the people that are listening to. Because it's just like, these people, they might have only started doing this 2 years ago. Like, events, and like, you might think, oh, they're incredible at what they do. But they were just like me or you, that were just sitting there going, I don't think I'll ever be able to do anything with my life. I don't think I'm good enough to do this. We are all good enough. And people have amazing stories. They're like, it's definitely the inspiration behind it. Knowing, like, I know the person that I'm talking to, they interest me. I follow them on Instagram. I follow their journey. I can see the lessons that they've learned, and I know that they can add value to your life as well as mine. And just getting them, I love letting people share their story. Like, most of the people I get on have probably never been on a podcast, and allowing them to share their story encourages me to do more or be better at what it is, and to learn something from it. And you at home to be able to say, geez, that guy or girl that was on that podcast, said that they started out 2 years ago, like, and they might say, oh, I never thought I could run 5K. And one day I decided that I'm going to put on my shoes and socks and go out and do it. Or I'm going to do 1 kilometer. And now I'm running 42 kilometers. And now I'm running like a sub 3 hour marathon. Now I'm doing high rocks. And, it's something that I never thought I'd be good at, but I'm amazing at it. Swimming, bike, running, whatever you're into, like until you give it a go or you hear someone's story, even parents, there's guys that have children, they have wives, you say, I don't have the time. I know one guy at the moment and he's doing bloody fucking Ironmans, ultras, marathons, half marathons, and he's a wife and 2 kids. He's finding the time to do it. So we all have it in us to prioritize what we want to do. So next up is definitely number 7. I overcomplicate every episode. Like that's the God's honest truth by getting caught up with trying to make it perfect, overthinking the structure, second guessing myself, my questions, and chasing the ideal guest, like the performance that goes with it. Like, by will this be good enough, and stressing about whether the conversation will land exactly. So there's always going to be that. It's here every single day. There's the perfection analysis, there's over planning, the self-doubt, the comparison, and forgetting the simplicity wins. Like, so the best episodes often come from just showing up, being present, and letting the conversation flow. Like God's honest truth. When I ask a question, and there's been that something I've learned recently is that sometimes my questions are too vague or they're too long. So now I try and shorten the question. If I'm going to ask someone a question, the question is going to be short so that they can come back with a response that's dedicated to that question. Because the truth is, I overcomplicate the question sometimes. And with that, I suppose it comes like just simple question, simple answer, something that people can understand. Like, I'm never looking for something like too in depth or like too out of this planet that's going to complicate anything, but something that people will actually resonate with. And a lot of the times, again, it's just comes from me. Like, I'll overcomplicate it, and I'm worried about the question that I ask doesn't make sense. I remember I had my friend Aaron on the podcast, and I asked him a question, and I almost asked him about 5 questions in one question. And I was like, how the fuck is any man sitting down here in front of me meant to answer that? So, like, it's just, these are things that you think about once you listen back. But it's definitely, the self-doubt can be crazy, people. Like, my advice to you is whatever you want to do, you've just got to do it. Like, I've come back to the house this morning. I was like, you've got to turn on the laptop and you have just got to press record. Just like you want to start running, you want to start doing anything, you've just got to find that first step to get you started. And without that, we'll never get started. And that's the danger. So number 8, the creative part of podcasting is like, I think I've mentioned it already, but like, it's what I love is how, like, what I love the most is just how present you feel when you're doing it. Like, I have notes in front of me, and when I press record, I forget about absolutely everything. Like, I know if I'll check the time now. Let me just check. I've been on this for 40 minutes, okay? Nearly 40 minutes. And I haven't thought about absolutely anything else other than how do I continue the structure of this podcast so that it doesn't run over too much time and that I can deliver value. But you become so present. The creative side of things is shaping the conversation, the ideas, the stories, and they say it's like tapping into creative energy. Like, when's the last time you sat down to like really think about something that you want to talk about? Like, it kind of only comes through podcasting. It comes through journaling. It comes through, I don't know how, like maybe musicians, when you're writing music or if you're singing or whatever the case may be, you don't think about anything else other than what you're going to do in that moment. And it's a massive part of the podcast. Like, I love when I sit down. I love when I have a conversation with someone because I absolutely cannot remember anything that's happened for that hour, only them in front of me. I recently had a chat with Grania, and when I listened back to that podcast, I was like, I don't even remember asking half those questions. Like, you're so present that you kind of do forget yourself, but you're also worried that you're asking the right questions. And definitely the skill stacking, every recorded session is practice. Like, it's not just in podcasting, but it's in communication, thinking, and like I said, the creative side of it. The more that we can tap into that side of our brains, I suppose, then the better you will get with it. And I like I said, I doubt myself all the time that I'm learning, but I have to have learned. And that's when I comes to interviewing other guests now. Like, I'm better prepared. I have a short list of questions that I gather from a long list of questions. And I was like, it'll probably go off topic, but at least I have a trail of thought. I kind of try for the guest podcast, I try and use like 10 questions, 10 core questions. And I know in my own heart and soul, well, if they talk about each question for 4 minutes, that's 40 minutes. And I'm definitely going to talk for 10 minutes because I only ever talk for an interview to ask the questions. And then if I think that they might need a break from talking, I will interrupt them, and that gives them a chance to drink water or just have a chance to think and to give them a break. That's the God's honest truth. That's why the solo podcast can kind of come in, or the interview podcasts. Like, I don't have to think about anything, whereas when I'm doing a solo, I have to keep rambling on and like trying to deliver what it is I'm trying to deliver. So, number 9, my goal for each episode is simple: to make just one listener's day. That is the God's honest truth. I always just do this for the sake of, I hope one person gets value, or one person starts to do something because of something that I've said or something that I've heard, or something that they have heard on the podcast. So, like, impact over numbers. It's not always about chasing downloads. Like, I never once looked at the download chart to see how many downloads I get. But the analytics recently is definitely something I have been. I look at where the number drops off. I look at, where is it being listened to most. And then, like, so say Ireland is obviously a big place for listening. Obviously, I'd like to reach more listeners in Australia. So then obviously it comes down to, okay, do I get more the guest episodes recently have been doing very well versus this episode, which might not get a lot of listens, so, but that's fine. But then I can see, oh, the lads like Dennis and Danny and David Spring, like, that did very well. Danny's one did very well. Dennis's one did very well. Grania's one is just up. It's doing very well. So showing that the solo episodes do better. But I also like the side of my podcast where I do solos and I be open and honest about my side of things and give a bit more of a deeper look into my life, or to what it is that kind of drives me on. And that's the difference in it. Like, I could just do interviews, but then you wouldn't get to know me, or you wouldn't ever get to know what I'm doing to an extent. So that's the kind of part of me that like loves this, how my podcast is growing. Still want to do some solos, but I still want to obviously do the interviews, because the interviews are easier. So it's easier to get podcasts out. You just got to do a bit more research into the person. Still on number 9, it's like small wins matter, shifting one person's mindset. That's, I mean, like, for you, the listener, personal accountability. It's keeping the focus on serving and making every episode feel purposeful, even on tough days. That is the thing. There is tough days, people, trust me, in my life a lot recently. And it's like, you just want to be open and honest and communicate with and say things. Like, I did open the show there by talking again, like, about, the issue with my mother being in the hospital with it's a year now, and we never thought we'd make it this far. But there's been definitely the last 3 months again, since, like, I'm back with 2 months, all the emotional side of it, believe me. Like, I got triggered the other day by something in a conversation that I never experienced in my life before, where someone was talking about something and I was listening to them, and the tears started coming out of my eyes and I could not stop. And then I just had a vision of something, and they were still talking to me. And next thing, not messing, like, I broke down in a sense, and I was sitting down, the tears were coming out of my eyes. And I was like, I've never experienced something like that in my life before, the emotional side of things. And it's definitely a part that, like, no one, I've never heard of anyone say something that when their family or their parents are going through something, that this is what happened to them in an emotional sense. Like, I haven't heard it. So it's, I suppose, when things start happening to family and to loved ones, there is the psychological side of it, and there is the human nature side of it, and there is the emotional side of it that will hurt people more so than the physical side of things. And definitely something that happened recently was like, man, I've never experienced that. Like, and like I say to you, my sleep hasn't been great the last couple of weeks. That's definitely a side effect of it. I'm thinking about it all the time. Probably should go see someone and talk to them about it to see how I could, maybe fix this a bit better, to deal with it a little bit better. Because for the last year now, I I say I've dealt with it, but I probably haven't. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm not glued in on these things. But yeah, what happened during the week was like just kind of something I never expected that would happen because of a conversation that was happening, and it brought up an emotion in me of what I was thinking. So, that's the part about doing the solo podcast, is like that you can talk about what your experiences are, not just trying to get the story from someone else. So, number 10 then is, this has been 50 episodes. The journey is unpredictable. That's the truth. Like, it's changed so much in the last 5 years. Like, between COVID, between living in Thailand, between moving to Bali, between having COVID to come back to Australia, by living in Australia, finding a wife to be, finding a partner. Then there's the journey with the events that I was doing, half marathons, marathons, ultras, and then I went down the road of, different gyms that I was working in, the work side of things. Like, I've been a fitness coach. I've driven a truck for a year with a scaffolding company. I went back doing electrical work. Now I'm back to mining. Oh my God, I feel like I've gone full circle, people. But it's like, you just don't know the unpredictability of the years that's been happening. I'm like, what I've said in 50 podcasts, imagine what the storyline might be in another 50. And that's the unpredictable side of it. And it's part of the excitement. That's why I want to keep it going. There's been times in the last couple of years when, like I said, I wanted to talk more and I should have been open and honest a lot more, but I didn't know how to do it. I was afraid to do it. Whereas now I don't really care. I'll just say what it is that's going to, like, I'll say what it is that I'm going through, and I'll say what it is that I want to do, and I'll say what's going well and what's not going well. And, just see, that's the biggest thing about this. You just do not know where it's going. And I'm here for whatever comes next. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be ups and downs. You just hope that there's more ups than downs. So you do. And that way, you will grow from it. And, you just got to embrace it. You can't predict the way it will go. You don't know what the growth will be like through the consistency. Maybe you just don't know what will happen. That's the exciting part. It will evolve over time with the way, it might surprise me. You just don't know what line of work someone could be listening to this. You don't know what kind of people you can meet through the podcast. You don't know what direction it's going to go. The direction it's heading at the moment is I'm sitting in my house recording a podcast on a single microphone with the laptop in front of me. And, I just hope you, the listeners, are getting value from it. And build something bigger every episode, no matter, there'll be loads more average episodes. There'll be loads more shit episodes, but hopefully there is the gold that we will find every 1 in 10 or something like that. Obviously, hopefully it'll be a bit more than that, but definitely the way it's going at the moment and the amount of effort that I'm giving it, I want it to do well. Obviously, I want it to do well. Otherwise, I would just throw it in the bin and get rid of it. But definitely, the exciting part is, like, just tell your story, tell other people's stories. Hopefully, the people that are listening will get something from it, and it will inspire them to take on bigger challenges and to do the things they want to do. Because trust me, people, it's only been possibly, I'd say, 7 or 8 years ago that I was doing, that I wasn't doing much. 10 years ago, I came to Australia or whatever. I wasn't doing much. I was playing hurling and football at home. Wasn't even great at it. Come to Australia, a bit more of a, lifestyle around training. Started doing a bit of CrossFit. Then, did a PT cert while I was still an electrician. Wanted to do it. Fortunate enough to go to Thailand and coach. But it hasn't been until I've come back to Australia in this last 5 years that I have done any of the major events, like running half marathons, running 10Ks, doing triathlons and stuff. That's only come in the last couple of years. So there is coaches there to fast track all this. There is groups, there is communities, there is everything. I say that and I think about it. I should be trying to find a community of podcasters to help me grow my podcast, because that's how you grow things. I firmly believe in growing things together. Like, I don't want this to be a one-man show. I don't want to be training by myself all the time. I don't want to be doing events by myself. I want the group aspect. I love the community aspect of things. And it is there for you, but you've got to step outside of your comfort zone to go and find those people and those communities to become part of them. Because every person in a community that is doing something good was once that person like you that wanted to be there, wanted to make changes, wanted to do things. And it's not until you make that step out there to find them that you will actually do the things that you want to do with your life. So, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you up. I will be back. I have Kevin Matthews, an ultra runner, lined up for the next podcast. I was talking to him this morning. I must get back to him today to set up a time this week. Again, that is the side of you've got to put the foot forward and organize it and be there and do the things that if I keep putting it off, it never gets done. So you've got to step out of your comfort zone to do the things you want to do. If you've been listening to this, if you haven't rated the show, please go into the rates thing there. Give it a bit of a few stars. If you want to subscribe. If you have any questions, please send me a message. I'm not on Instagram much, people. I said my email address. Please email my email address. It's on my Facebook page, or else my WhatsApp number isn't there. But email, because I'm not on social media that much to be writing back to any questions. So please do email me. Other than that, take care. Have a good week, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.